What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and 3-1 win away at Bournemouth. Good result, good performance, but not for the one of trying from Bournemouth's point of view. I mean, they gave it their all, and I mean, from our point of view, Cahill, Alonso, and Matic gave their all to try to get Bournemouth back into the game as well. So, yeah, surprising result for me, to be honest. I mean, I figured we'd probably get a win, but I figured it'd be a lot closer. 2-goal lead is actually, in my opinion, a good result. And a lot of that goes back to what I've been saying over the past several weeks. Cahill and Alonso hurt us so badly on defense. The goal comes from Cahill not tracking his man, getting beat over the top. That's already happened once in the first half, and now it's happening again. And this one leads to a goal because of a shot, deflects off of Luis's knee and flips up over Courtois. But that can happen if you're not tracking your man, if you're not tracking him in behind. Frazier got in behind him at one point, and it took Luis doing a good bit of defensive work to keep him from getting a shot off. And it's so simple. You got a man here, you get goal side of him. If you let him get goal side of you, and on top of that Luis is starting to drop and you're not, now you're beat. And what's worse is, they've got speed. King, Frazier, Afobe, all fast. Why are you letting them get in behind you? Why are you not tracking your man? And it's such a simple thing to do. All you have to do is track them. All you gotta do, as soon as you see that they're looking long, start dropping off. It's so easy. I coach a high school team and they know how to do that. I tell them, look, just drop off if they've got speed. They do it so easily. And Cahill can't figure it out. Freaking Gary Cahill, the captain of Chelsea, can't figure out how to drop off to make sure the striker doesn't get in behind him, or the midfielder, whoever it is. So that's frustrating. Alonso, I don't know if he knows how to put in a challenge over the past few games. I mean, so many times, just he's there. He is there in their way, but what does he do? Stick a foot out. Maybe this will stop him. There was a moment where he's coming at, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Afobe. He's coming right at him. And no, it was Frazier. Pretty sure. Frazier's coming right at him, and all he has to do is just put himself in the way. Be a body in the way. Get a block on it. How many times have we seen Terry over the years throw his body on the line, get in front of it, put everything he can? What did Alonso do? Maybe this will work. Maybe my little foot sticking out will work. And what happens? Ball goes right past him. Ball goes right under his foot. How did Crystal Palace score their first goal? Zaha's coming across. Azpilicueta's forcing him towards Alonso. Alonso sticks out a foot. And Zaha cuts it back across the goal. Courtois can't read it in time. It gets in the far corner. Frazier today, same type of thing. We got lucky, though, because he missed. That's pretty much the only reason why he didn't score, is because it was just wide of the goal. But the same exact thing from Alonso, just kind of sticking a foot out. And Cahill, behind it, was actually ducking out of the way to make sure he didn't get a touch on it, because Lord knows, if you get a touch on it and it goes wide, that's terrible. I'd rather it sneak into the far post. So, just those two in the defense. And then today, Matic, here's the thing. Why is Matic on the field? For his defensive work. Where does he struggle defensively? The amount of times that he loses track of his man in the middle, the amount of times that they have a clear chance top of the box because Matic didn't track. I mean, I said it in the Man City game, how many times when he came in did he let Stones have a clear chance because he's not tracking him, or he's letting him get beat? Today, Afobe, first half, clear volley, top of the box. Where's Matic? Jogging behind. That's Mikel stuff. That's why I wanted Mikel off the team. That's why I didn't want Mikel on the field last season, because he never tracks. He always lets the man at the top of the box with a ton of space because he's too lazy to get back in. Matic has not been that player over the past couple seasons. Last season, yeah, he did have a little bit of an off season, but he still worked. He still worked hard to get in behind, to be that defensive wall in front of the back line. This year, it's like, oh, Conte's got it. Conte's doing all the work. I don't really need to work that hard. And it shows. I mean, my God, Matic used to be this force in the midfield. And it was a much different force than Conte. Conte's force is like, he just works so hard, he runs you down, he nips at your feet until you're, pretty much losing the ball. Matic was just this body in the middle of the field. Imagine like Yaya Toure at his prime. You know, honestly, a couple other ones that come to mind. Not like a Makalele, more like a Essien type person. Just that body that can just knock you off the ball. You know, he's strong. He holds up possession in the midfield. He beats you to it. He can just easily just say, no, get away from me. This is my ball. You're not getting anywhere near me because I'm just that much bigger and stronger than you. Matic now is like the only time I ever see him do anything is whenever we're in possession and comfortable possession. You know, he's one of those players, and obviously a lot of players are like this. If the team's not playing well, then that player also kind of gets affected by it. So Matic is one of those players that whenever the team is playing well, you know, whenever we've got possession, we're moving around nicely, you know, ball comes to him, he plays it around, he looks fine then. But whenever we're struggling, he's one of the players that's causing those struggles. You know, he and Cahill and Alonso, they're the ones I'm looking at and I'm like, there's our problem. Costa's another one. You know, a lot of times whenever we're under a lot of pressure, it's because Costa can't hold up possession. Sometimes Pedro too. Sometimes he'll give it away. Those are the players that I'm seeing that are causing the problems. Players like Hazard, players like Conte, players like Azpilicueta, those are the ones that I'm seeing are trying to get us out of the funk. You know, if like we're ever in a moment where we're struggling defensively, we're struggling to hold off the pressure, it's players like Hazard are looking to keep possession and kind of get us out and let us have a chance to breathe. Conte's the one that's working so hard to win the ball back. Azpilicueta's the one throwing his body on the line to make sure they don't have a clear shot. I'm not seeing that out of these problem players. I'm seeing them as the problem. I'm seeing them as the ones that are losing the ball, or the ones that aren't tracking men, or the ones that are leaving guys in a ton of space. So now we're struggling defensively because they're just moving the ball around, and you're just chasing. Not following one man, you're just chasing the ball. That's all it is. God, watching Alonso and Matic get 1-2'd how many times today by Bournemouth of all teams? Not that Bournemouth are a bad team, they're really hard workers, but I expect us to get 1-2 by Man City because they actually have quality players, and that didn't happen because we worked hard for the most part. Today at Bournemouth, I didn't see that same work. I saw ball watching as they pass, and now we're beat. And now they're at our defense, and now they're causing problems, and now we're having to struggle to get back into the game. It's really frustrating. You know, obviously the 3-1 win is nice. I like the fact that we won. I'm glad that we won. I'm glad we won so convincingly. But I'm looking at the game as a whole, and honestly, we don't really earn it now. You know, there are a couple moments of brilliance that we have. You have one lucky goal from Costa off of Adam Smith and in. One brilliant moment from Conte to Hazard, brilliant moment past the keeper and shot, and then a brilliant free kick from Alonso. And while we did have possession most of the game, they were creating the dangerous chances. They were the ones that were putting the pressure on us at times. They were the ones that felt like they were going to do something about the game. And for most of the season, I've felt like, you know, we're good. You know, even when teams had some time, even when teams were putting pressure on us, I still felt like, nah, we're good. We've got this in the bag. But over the past several weeks, 9 games without a clean sheet. That's a problem. That is a problem that we need to fix. That Conte needs to fix. Antonio Conte. He's got players at his disposal that will do more than Terry. I'm thinking Terry in for Cahill. Terry would do more than Cahill. Ake Kennedy would do more than Alonso. Chalobah would do more than Matic. And yet, they're not seeing the field. It's the same 13, 14 players every game. Fabregas comes on or Matic comes on, whichever one sits the bench, they come on as a sub. Willie and Pedro, whoever starts, the other one comes on as a sub. If Zuma's not starting the game, he comes on as a sub. It's the same thing every time. These players that are quality players that could easily replace these problem players we have are not seeing the field at all. So how am I supposed to know if they're going to be problem players too? Because all I see are the players that are causing problems, that are causing issues, and they're not getting replaced. They're still causing issues. They're still giving up goals 9 games later. We're still giving up goals. We're still giving up goals. We're still hanging on in games where we should be just dominating and not letting them have a sight of goal. So that's my rant. Obviously, you know, a lot of you may look at me and be like, what are you talking about? We won 3-1. What's your problem? Honestly, we're going to Old Trafford next week. We've got Tottenham in the FA Cup coming up. And then from there, I mean, it's 7 points. It used to be 10. That was more comfortable. Seven is like you drop 3 points, you lose next week at Old Trafford, and Tottenham pick it up at Bournemouth, which they likely will. That's all of a sudden 4 points. Now the pressure's really on. Instead of let's get rid of the problem players, and so we don't struggle in games like this, and so we easily get the 3 points. We don't lose to Crystal Palace 2 weeks ago. There's your last week. My bad. But there's your issue solved. But that issue is not being solved. And honestly, it kind of worries me because one of the things I heard about Conte was at Juve, he did turn them around really quickly. He turned them into a title-winning team. But in the Champions League, they struggled because he didn't like to make a lot of rotations. We've got the players, we need to make the rotations. And especially if players like Cahill and like Alonso are causing issues for us, they shouldn't be playing. Ugh. And what makes it worse is the pollen's been awful, the weather just changed, my sinuses are killing me, and I'm in here freaking slapping my forehead for how many mistakes they make. So, on to the referees, because I do need to address this really, really quick. Just the lack of discipline for the other team. I don't know, I'm watching as the very beginning of the game, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes in, Moses gets a forearm shove in the back, and so he is slipping and is struggling, and so he goes to like stop the ball from rolling, touches it with his hand, and all of a sudden that's a yellow for him. Where's the call on the foul? And remember the yellow because this comes important later. One of their guys, I think it was Frazier, dribbling. It was Wilshere. Conte's coming from behind. He's trying to win the ball. He tries to nick it. He kind of clips his heel a little bit. He goes down in dramatic fashion, runs into Luis, and now he's really hurt. Yellow card for Conte. From really nothing. I mean, it's not like he was breaking away. It's not like this was a dangerous run. And it's not like it was a dangerous tackle. He just kind of clipped at his heels, trying to win the ball back. He was running right into Luis anyway. So what's the yellow for? And this was like his second foul, I think. I can't remember anything for persistent fouling. So don't know what that yellow's for. And then all of a sudden, here comes Adam Smith, studs up challenge into Alonso. He rides the challenge and wins the ball still, but it's still dangerous. It's studs up. Should be a yellow. Nothing. Later on, challenge from, I think, Cook or Francis on Costa that led to the Marcus Alonso goal. Studs up challenge into his shin. No call. And it wasn't until later on, like, there was finally one that I think the striker that came on for Fobi, Musay, I want to say is his name. He went into one on Espilicueta that was studs up, and that finally got the yellow. But I mean, there's three that should have been on yellows, and only one ends up with it, and three of our players end up with yellows for really nothing fouls. I can't remember who the other one that got it was. Oh, Pedro. He's running after the ball, trying to win it back. He goes in, kicks it, he misses the ball, and ends up getting Arter. But I'm watching the replay, and Arter is like jumping and going down before Pedro's foot even comes in. Like it was awful. It was really, really bad. And honestly, overall, the refs weren't terrible, but it's those little things, the cards that aren't going out that makes me worried. If a player's going studs in on a challenge, that can hurt somebody. And if you're not carding it, if you're not disciplining them for that, why should they stop? If they can go in hard on a challenge, why should they stop if you're not going to card them for it? And that leads to some leg-breaking challenges later on. So, I don't know, it's just the stupid stuff like that really needs to be kind of nailed down a bit more. Finally, individual performances. Courtois, didn't have much to do. Well, he kind of did. I mean, they were threatening a lot, and so there were a lot of moments where he has to be ready because you never know. One of these shots, like King's, that ended up going off of Luis's leg, that can happen at any time. So he was always ready, and most of the shots that went just wide, he was there. So if they had been in the corner, he would have gotten to it. So overall, he had a mistake against Man City, but overall this season he's been very solid, very good keeper to have back there. Espilicueta, like I said earlier, he's one of those players that it feels like he's throwing his body in the way to stop anything that comes his way. So he just works really hard, and I appreciate all the work he does back in the defense. David Luiz still getting caught stepping out a couple too many times, but for the most part did his job effectively today, coming out and winning the ball instead of coming out and flying into a challenge and missing it or giving up a foul. So he's still not quite disciplined, but at the same time, his challenges today were more effective than they were against Man City. So I don't mind him stepping out and challenging if, as long as he's winning the ball, as long as he's not causing issues for the rest of our defense. Cahill I talked about, Alonso I talked about, Moses worked really hard today. First game back from an injury, and you could tell he wanted to get back out there. So I love watching Moses work because for the most part, there are a couple times where it feels like he should get rid of the ball sooner, something along those lines. But for the most part, I mean, just watching him on the ball, watching him make runs, and then also get back and help defend, even though he's not really a defender, he's one of those solid players that you need out there. He's a hard worker. He doesn't really have a whole lot of technical ability or anything super fancy. He can beat players with speed, but that's about it. But he works so hard, it makes up for all any lack of ability he might have. He makes up for it with speed. But that being said, his technical ability is pretty good. He's just not like, he's not going to dribble somebody like Hazard might, or Pedro. But he can take him on with pace, which is really effective at times. Already talked about Matic. Conte was once again kind of that workhorse in the middle. Definitely, I don't know, he's not as bad as some of the other players, but he definitely didn't seem as effective as he normally is. I don't know if that was just because Bournemouth were moving the ball around, so he couldn't really put in a challenge because nobody was really dribbling on it. But he does. There's still so much that he does. Just putting the challenge in or forcing them to go back, it kind of stops their forward momentum. So even though he wasn't really winning the ball as much, he wasn't really intercepting as much as he normally does. There's still so much he does kind of off the ball to force something. To force him to go one way, to force him to go back. So maybe not one of his more effective games, but he's still a player that's just so needed in that middle. Up top, Hazard, Pedro, Costa. I would have liked to see Willian just because I feel like Willian's kind of earned some time just in how hard he's worked when he's come off the bench. But Pedro today, not bad. Still too many times where it feels like he's doing one thing when he should be doing something else. A little mistake after doing something really good that makes me go Pedro, oh, you suck. But yeah, he does some things really well, then takes a random shot that flies into the crowd. It's hard to say for him, he's just one of those players that it feels like he just needs that moment to pop up and score a brilliant goal, and then all of a sudden it's just like, awesome, I'm glad you're in there. But unfortunately, for the past few games, that hasn't happened for him. He's just, he's had good moments, he's had bad moments. Hazard, once again, looks our most effective player on the field, just tearing defenses apart, working the ball around. Today, honestly, it was less dribbling because I think he realized with Bournemouth having so many players back, he's not able to dribble as much. He's not able to take on players. So today, his movement and his ball movement was a lot more in focus. Just moving the ball around quickly, quick passes, finding feet, finding balls over the top as well. He really moves the ball as effectively with passes as he does with dribbling. And so getting to see that today, it just shows his versatility and shows how much he can do aside from just, I can drop my shoulder and make John Stones look like a baby. And then finally, Costa, God bless him. He works so hard. And I've actually said in the past couple games, he hasn't been effective, but I have noticed the hard work at times. But most of that hard work, honestly, over the past couple games has been off the ball. It's been tracking down defenders. It's been forcing them to go one way. It hasn't really been on the attacking side of it. Attacking-wise, it felt like his movement to make runs wasn't great. On the ball, it felt like he was losing it too easily. A lot of that was happening over the past few games, and I was really disappointed. Today, his movement to get into those spaces was brilliant. On the ball, he made some good passes. But gosh darn it, his finishing was terrible today. Honestly, how many goals should he have had? I can think of several. There was the one that he whiffed, and it was off an Alonso cross, whiffed it, but then it went off the defender, landed at his feet, but then the defender pokes it away from him. There was the one that it was right after the goal too. He mishit it with his left foot off of Adam Smith, off the post and in, and then a few minutes later he has another left-footed chance that he completely mishits and goes wide of the goal. There were several others where it just felt like he's mishitting the shot. I think he needs to get back into training on shooting because we need him to finish those. He created so many good chances today. I don't know. It's so bizarre to see, oh, he's not creating anything over the past few games, and then today he creates like 10 chances and just can't finish it. But that being said, I mean, obviously forced the own goal and then got the foul that led to Marcus Alonso's goal, so, not bad. Just gotta, I mean, as a striker, you've got to finish. You've gotta finish. Finally, the subs that came on, like I said, none of them are surprising because we've seen them for the past, 25 games now. Fabregas came on first. I honestly feel like they could have given him a rest. I mean, at that point, we were up 2-0. Chalba can come on as a more defensive player. You could have brought Zuma on as a bit more of a defensive midfielder. I just don't understand why bring Fabregas on when we're already up 2-0. Bring on Willian after that. Once again, why do we need him out there? Give Pedro a rest, that's fine, but why not Batshuayi? Why not? I guess, well, I did say why earlier. Willian has worked really hard over the past few games when he's coming as a sub. I would like to see him given some more time than the last 3 minutes of the game. But, like I said, why not Batshuayi as well? Why not Chalaba get in? Something like that. And then finally, Zuma comes on for Moses. Spliquiccia goes out wide, a sub we've seen several times as well. Why? I understand you want to get Zuma time, but give him a start. Put him on for Cahill, who's been playing terrible. Something like that. I don't know. It's Moses' first game back. Why sub him off? He hasn't played at all this week. And you're going to sell off him over one of the players that have played the entire 90 minutes of both of the games we had this week. So, all in all, I know it sounds like I'm really frustrated, and I am happy we won. I'm happy we got the good result. I'm happy it was a 2-goal lead. I'm happy about all that. But there's so many frustrating things that going forward, we're going to be playing at Old Trafford next week. That's going to be a difficult game. And we have all these problems that aren't being fixed over all of these games. We haven't kept a clean sheet in 9 games. We've had issues that we're not solving. And yet, nothing's changing. Everything's still the same. Everything's still the same. Everything's still the same. We're still giving up goals. We still got Cahill. We still got Alonso. Matic is still featuring. We're still making the same subs. The players that aren't playing at all still aren't playing at all. Something's got to change at some point, you feel. Because, honestly, over these past 14 games, we haven't been bad, but we're not doing great either. It's been struggle. It's been hard. Why not let some of the other players play? I don't know. Obviously, it's up to Conte if he is winning games, so I can't complain that much. But I'm worried going forward that with some of the issues we've had that aren't changing, we're going to struggle. And I would hate for our lead to drop before we end up facing Tottenham in the FA Cup to give them even more momentum. So, that's about it for my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the game? Who's your man of the match? Do you agree or disagree with me? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.